everyone, and welcome to another episode of First Look, Final Word, podcast where we take you along to see a new movie with us. I'm Pete.
And I'm Trevor. How's everybody doing tonight?
Oh, wow, that was very high energy, Trevor. I'm loving it.
I've had a lot of coffee. So I was up early this morning, and I've gone too far the other way now.
Okay, we'll see how he sounds on the way back. He crashes in the caffeine.
All right, today we're going to go see Hitman. We're going to go see it in theaters, and you're probably going to watch at home on Netflix. It's coming on Netflix in about a week's time or something.
Yeah, it's a very limited theatrical release on this one, so I'm excited we get to see it in the theater. All right, so I just pulled up the synopsis here. I'll quickly give this one a whirl. So, professional killer Gary Johnson breaks protocol to help a desperate woman trying to free an abusive husband and finds himself falling for her. Wow.
Okay, well, that's fascinating because the synopsis I looked at sounded completely different than that one.
Oh, really?
I'm not going to tell you what.
Oh, you had a spoiler?
So now I don't know if what I read was a spoiler or not. So I'm glad that you read that one because that one seems more like...
That was just the top Google one.
But yeah.
That seemed a little bit less like giving everything away.
Once we get on the back end talking about spoilers, I'll share what it actually said. But the synopsis I read, I was like, oh, this is not what I was expecting from this movie at all.
It's like he dies at the end.
Yeah. Glen Powell's character dies at the end. No.
Yes. So I guess, I don't really know anything about this one. I don't know how much research you've put into it, but I've done nothing this week. I know that Glen Powell's in it. That's about it.
Yeah, I know it's the newest Richard Linklater movie.
Right, yes, I didn't know that.
I'm excited about that. It's not a movie that he's taking 10 years to make.
No.
Or whatever. Yeah. Like he just made this like a normal movie.
He's trying something new.
Yeah. So, should we maybe start there? Like, are you a fan of Linklater?
Yeah, like not a huge fan. Like I've seen some of his stuff, but yeah, I'm not like, he's not one that I get super excited about, but I'm interested to see his version of whatever this movie is, because it's not something I would have expected him to be doing.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like it's up his alley, although he does make a lot of different types of movies.
I guess that's true, right? Like he's one of those guys that can kind of turn his hand to whatever he wants.
Yeah, like I guess I would describe myself as a fan, but I think like he's such a prolific director. Right. Like he does like a movie every other year basically since the early 90s. So I think I would be surprised to see how many movies of his that I haven't seen.
That's probably true. Yeah. So we pulled up a list. We'd probably change our tunes a bit, maybe.
Like I love Slacker, like which was his like breakout.
Yeah, that was the big one.
That's a brilliant movie, and I love the Before trilogy, like all those movies.
Right.
Have you seen those?
I haven't seen them all. No, I think I only saw the first one.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I remember liking it. I just don't know why I never got around to watching the others.
Well, maybe you're just not a romantic.
Yeah, I just hate all that mushy nonsense.
I really love those movies, especially Before Sunset. I think is really great, and it's like a brisk hour, 20 minutes. Or whatever.
I don't know why I've not watched them. I only hear good things about them.
They're just like the perfect conversation movies.
Yeah.
I do find them quite romantic. I just really like them. Before Midnight is also really good, and it's a good end to it.
Right.
Although, I don't want to get into it too much.
Those spoilers.
Yeah. And then I guess the other one of his that I really, really like is A Scanner Darkly.
Yeah, you know what? I've forgotten about that movie until you just mentioned it, and I actually really like that too.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And
although I feel like I should go back and watch that one, because I don't know if I just remember it being cool just because of the style, how stylized it was.
Yeah, like the rotoscope.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I remember really enjoying it at the time, but I don't know if I was to go back, I'd be like, this is a bit gimmicky.
I guarantee it's still cool.
It looked cool, I'll tell you that. I feel like I didn't get the credit when it came out, though.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe I might be misremembering it, but I feel like it didn't. I remember loving it a lot more than it seemed like critics did.
Yeah, I think like it's basically was like a bit of a cult film then, and has mostly remained like fairly obscure, I would say.
Oh yeah.
Like you and I are pretty big sci-fi fans, so we probably seek out that kind of stuff.
People don't really talk about it though, or like.
No, not really. Like I feel like it's still very underrated.
Yeah.
And he's done a couple of those like rotoscope movies. Like he's done
I didn't know there was more.
He did Waking Life, which is like
I've not seen that.
kind of like a dream movie. Like the characters don't know if they're in dreams or in reality basically the whole time. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
And then I think this was like 2 years ago. He did another Netflix movie called Apollo 10.5.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just like an excuse for him to recount his childhood of like watching the moon landing.
I see.
Like he just reimagines himself as the test pilot who goes to the moon first before Neil Armstrong. But it's basically, just it does like the rotoscope thing and shows his daily life in the late 60s.
Crazy.
In Texas.
That one totally passed me by. I've never even heard of that.
I don't think it really made a big splash. Like the way that I had heard about it, I think this movie came out in 2022, maybe 2021.
Oh, okay.
The Oscars said that it wasn't eligible for Best Animated Feature, and then he made a big stink about this because
that does sound familiar.
Like it upset a lot of people because like a lot of people like specialize in doing like the rotoscope thing, like animation over live action video or whatever. And I don't really know the results of that one. I know it didn't get nominated.
Yeah, that's a very I do find that stuff interesting where it's like, where does it cross into an animated movie versus live action?
Yeah,
like if you have a mix of both, like can you really be nominated for best animation if you like you're like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit or something like that, where it's like 90% animated, but then you stick a live action character in there? It's like, how much of it?
Or even just like some of these Disney remakes, like the Lion King. How is that not just also an animated film? Yeah. Like it's photorealistic animation.
Well, that's just it, right? When you get into like CGI and animation, it's like, I guess where you have to draw a line somewhere, I guess. But I don't know. It's still animation. At the end of the day, it's not real life. It's someone's made it.
So I guess we've missed a couple of his big ones. Like, how do you feel about Dazed and Confused?
I don't remember that one. I know I watched it way back, but I don't remember it. I don't know why.
Yeah, so that one for a lot of people is like an absolute classic.
Yeah, I remember.
I was wondering if like maybe because you grew up in England, it was less of a big deal.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't huge. Like, I don't have big memories of it being like a big event or anything. So yeah, maybe it didn't travel.
And then I guess like Boyhood's like his one, like
right, yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, I remember.
Did you like that one?
I did like that actually. I thought that was a pretty cool experiment, but also very well done.
Yeah, I respect the experiment. I like the movie pretty well. Like it doesn't hit as hard as it did.
No, that's fair.
I wasn't a father when that movie came out.
True. Yeah, that's true actually. Maybe I should go back and give it another go. There's a lot of movies like that, though. Anyway, once you've had kids, it just changes your whole outlook on stuff.
But have you heard about Linklater's like other long projects?
Yeah, isn't it like something really crazy?
Yeah, so like he's doing the musical "Merrily We Roll Along."
Okay. Don't know that one.
I'm like, and it's like it's not really a famous Broadway play because it was a famous flop.
Okay,
it was only on Broadway for like a month.
Right.
But it's like a Stephen Sondheim play, so like occasionally people will put it on. I happened to discover it a couple of years ago because I was making my wife a playlist of Broadway songs.
Okay.
And there's a version.
The sweet guy. Just because, right?
No, it is. We both were doing it as like anniversary gifts, like
right.
To spend $0, we made each other playlist.
Nice.
But yeah, there was a version that they did with Lin-Manuel Miranda of this play.
Okay.
And the concept of the musical is pretty cool. Like it starts in the present, and like every song moves backwards in the past.
Okay.
And like until the last song is like 20 years before the first song, basically.
Right.
And so that's basically why it flopped, because audiences found it very confusing.
Yeah, it sounds confusing
at the time. But then like I listened to like the whole cast album a bunch, and I quite like the play. Like I think it's a pretty well done.
All right, okay.
But then Linklater announced that he was doing a version of it.
Right.
And
over 20 years, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so he's not doing it the way that normal people would do it, where you would just like either use different actors or you would age them up.
Yeah.
He cast a bunch of like mid-20 somethings, and he's just gonna watch them age over 20 years.
That's like pretty ballsy move, man.
It's pretty ballsy. It makes me like question like why he would do it that way.
He just likes doing interesting stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I just don't know what meaning that unlocks in the final project.
It's just fun in it. I think he just thinks it's fun.
Yeah,
So let's see if we can get to these same people 20 years later.
I feel like he's just convinced that like if he does this, then he'll at least have steady work for a period of time, right? It's like,
But yeah, I mean, you're risking a lot though. It could be like 10 years down the line. You're like, oh, it's all gone to pot.
yeah. Well, I wonder if he has like a successor plan in case he
backup.
dies in the middle of it or
Oh,
something.
yeah, true enough, right? Yeah. So how old is he now?
I think probably late 60s would be my guess. So
Yeah, he should be all right.
yeah, he should be fine.
When did he? Depends on when he started, I suppose.
He
Like,
started early 90s, but I don't know how young
okay.
he was. Like I assume probably pretty young. So maybe he's like early 60s.
Yeah.
Maybe he can make it. We're rooting for you, Richard.
I think he's all right. I don't think he needs our help.
Yeah, and so this one kind of caught my eye. I think that it was supposed to originally come out last year, but it got delayed a bit.
I didn't know that.
Well, I just know it was on the calendar for 2023.
Well, lots of things were, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if this was one that got bumped back because of the actor strike, though that certainly would make sense because they got the man of the moment, Glen Powell, in the movie, right? So you'd want him out there promoting it at the very least.
So I guess we should talk about Glen Powell. Are you a Glen Powell fan?
Like,
I feel like I've not really seen him in anything yet.
Like I've seen him in Top Gun Maverick, which I think he's great.
That's all I've seen.
Sort of what he's mostly popped in. I still haven't seen Anyone But You.
No, neither have I, which I hear is very good, but I just not got around to it.
Yeah, well,
I hate romantics.
I've heard he's good at it anyways.
Oh, really? Oh, burn.
So I'm not saying anything about it. Well, like, and I haven't seen the movie, so I'm just going based off of a few people told me about it.
Right.
But yeah, he does seem to be like kind of popping, and he has a lot of projects coming out.
He's definitely the man of the moment.
Because you got Twisters coming out later this year too, which you were quite excited about, right?
Yeah, I want to see Twisters. I think he'd be perfect for that as well. He just seems like from the trailers at least, that it's like going to be perfect for the role that he's playing in that.
So yeah, so is he the like millennial Bill Paxton?
I don't know. I feel like he's a bit more slick than that.
Yeah, he's more slick than Bill Paxton. For sure. No disrespect to Bill Paxton.
Who was like the big bad guy in the original Twisters? Not the bad guy, but I don't know, Bill Paxton's foil.
You know, it's been so long.
I can't remember either.
I know it's somebody.
Yeah, it definitely was in the movie.
I can't remember. You know what? I
can't remember either.
It's not Val Kilmer, but I'm thinking that because like Val Kilmer played Iceman in Top Gun, and that's sort of the same sort of role.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, right? That's kind of seems to be the character that suits him well.
Yeah. So why don't you look up who the heel was in?
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. I'm just gonna do some live Googling right here.
Yeah, then this is good radio right here.
Type in tick, 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 tick. All right, well, I'm looking that up.
Well, maybe I could preview what our question of the week is. So this movie is called Hitman. So I thought it might be interesting to talk about what our favorite movie assassins are.
Was it Carrie Ellis?
Oh yes, it was.
Was it?
Yeah,
I have no memory of that.
Yeah, so a pretty big star actually.
Yeah. Wow. Well, there you go.
A good American accent in that one. I didn't go.
Yeah, I didn't think it. I could not have guessed that name if you'd given me multiple guesses. Anyway, there you go. We did it.
All right. So the Assassin movie. What
should we get right into assassin stuff?
Yeah. What do you look for in an assassin movie? Or
well, it's a good question because when I first started thinking about assassin movies, there's like a bit of a weird sort of. I feel like there's a bit of a crossover between like assassin and spy.
Yes, definitely.
Like, because to me, like when you say assassin, that means somebody in the shadows who you don't necessarily see, who sneaks in, sneaks out without you seeing him, which you don't get a lot of in movies. When I was really thinking about it. It's more like I'm going to go in and kill everybody in a loud way or in a cool way because it looks more interesting than just like spitting a dart at someone from the shadows.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was really trying to think of assassin, but like classic assassin. And The only one I could think of for that and it's probably my favorite, was Leon the Professional.
Yeah.
Because that was very much about like the art of assassination and like doing it from the shadows and not being seen, not being caught, that kind of thing, versus just like running in and killing a bunch of people, John Wick style.
Well, that's because would you not consider John Wick an assassin?
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. I kind of would. You kind of it's like hitman and assassin. Are they the same thing? Like,
Yeah,
I think like they are, but
I think I would describe a hitman as like a subcategory of assassin, where like a hitman is definitely like someone who does murder for hire.
Yeah, true.
Whereas an assassin can maybe be more expensive than that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Someone whose like primary motivation is to go and kill a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I definitely enjoy both those kind of things. Like, I'm a meticulous person who plans everything out, and
that's hard to do.
Goes in clean and
in an interesting way, though. If you're talking about like action movies, like it's harder to do an assassin movie that's like thrilling, I guess. It's more like I don't know how to explain it, but I think you know what I'm trying to say.
Well, there's been like a kind of like resurgence in the assassin hitman genre, like with Barry on HBO.
Yeah, I never watched that.
It's pretty good.
Is that about Hitman?
It's about Hitman, yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
So, and
what was the one? Was it was it Ben Affleck in one of these? Like, the Accountant. I never got around to watching that. I'd actually forgotten about it until this second.
I've never seen The Accountant, but people like it.
I heard they're doing a sequel, maybe. Did I hear that right?
I think like, The Accountant 2 is happening.
Yeah.
So I got to catch up.
Keep on accounting.
And like, yeah, there's The Equalizer.
Yes, they are very good.
Which I quite like, which,
is that really though? That's kind of like your Man on Fire, like revenge plot, really, isn't it?
It is.
Well, I guess
he's sort of like a retired CIA agent, but
true.
We kind of get into your point about, maybe that there's a bit of a gray area between a spy and an assassin.
Yeah. Somebody who's just really good at killing people.
Yeah. Well, because like in James Bond movies, for instance, sometimes his mission is to, go and find intel, but sometimes his assignment is go and assassinate this person. Right. So sometimes he could be classified as an assassin.
Very true.
And that would be the case where, like, he's like a proper assassin. He's not being like paid by the job to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Difference between an assassin and a contract killer.
Yeah, that's the thing. Might be getting into semantics though, I guess, but yeah, just like really cool people that are really good at killing people.
Yeah. Well, and
that works.
That's kind of the question that was burning in my mind. Like, why do these movies kind of resonate so much? Like, do we just like really like seeing people who kill other people for hire?
That's a good point as well, because I think there's another sort of divide, right? Because there's the good guy hitman who's usually like on a righteous quest for revenge or redemption or whatever. But then there's also the bad guy hitman that's just like, who's like the bad, just like killing people.
Yeah,
because he's evil or whatever.
Absolutely, and I feel like these movies can kind of be so popular because being an assassin or a hitman is basically like the worst thing that someone can do for a profession, but us still like sympathize with them.
Right.
Because like murdering someone, but for the right reasons, for whatever reason, like people can sympathize with that.
Right. What was that one that the guys that did Endgame made that movie? And it had, Chris Evans was
the Gray Man?
Yes. But did you see that one?
It's quite bad.
It is. It's not great.
I appreciate
that had good like evil hitman and good hitman.
Yeah, I appreciate the level of enthusiasm that Chris Evans brings to the role. I wish that movie didn't look like total dog shit. Like, I don't know what those guys are
Don't
doing.
pull your punches, Trevor.
Well, like, come at me, Russo brothers. Like, make a good movie outside of Marvel.
Yeah, it was. They kind of. So I remember when they said they were like setting up their own studio and they're going to do all these movies after they moved off from Endgame, and I was like pretty excited to see what they did. But it seems like they just kind of went a bit crazy with stuff, and the quality control I think kind of maybe slipped a bit.
Yeah, like the two places that they have had success are working on Community under Dan Harmon and working in Marvel under Kevin Feige.
Yeah, I think they need that overseeing.
I guess so. Like to combat against their worst instincts.
I guess so, right?
Because like I don't know how the people who made Endgame, which is a movie that I think is fantastic.
Oh man, amazing.
Make the Gray Man just absolutely like you know what? I had sort of guilty pleasure fun while watching it, but
yeah, I remember.
I don't know anyone who would say like, "Oh, this is a good movie."
It's not anywhere near where I expected their stuff would go. But I think that's what it is, right? I think they're just like, let's just get our friends together and we'll just throw some stuff together and make a movie. And yeah, I don't think they're really too concerned. Whereas like you could tell on like an Endgame, and they spent a long time getting that very like precisely done right. Like you say with the oversight as well, right?
Well, the one assassin movie I really wanted to mention before I forget. So we were talking about sympathizing with an assassin on a righteous cause,
right?
Lone Wolf and Cub.
I knew you were gonna bring that one up. I wasn't gonna say anything because I knew you'd want to bring it up.
Like, and that guy, like, you know, he takes assignments to kill particular people.
He's definitely an assassin.
People got to fork over a fortune, but it's all like all of his assassinations are part of an overall plot for him to avenge the death of his wife and the destruction of his family name.
Yeah, that is a good one because on the one hand, he's like, yeah, he's just taking money to kill people, but like to your point, he always has like a righteous purpose.
And sometimes like in assassinating the person that he's trying to assassinate, he also like takes down entire armies. Like he just kills like 200 people.
Take down entire crime syndicate.
Yeah. For those people who haven't seen the Lone Wolf and Cub movies, they made 5 of them or 6 of them.
I'm not sure now. You say that. I think it was 5.
Yeah, I think it's 5. And you know they're all worthwhile. It's a great series.
Yeah, I came late to them and like watched them all. I think last year, and they are so good. So I'd always heard like it's part of Lexicon now. People use Lone Wolf and Cubs as kind of to describe a kind of style of storytelling, like with Mandalorian and stuff like that, and even with like The Last of Us, like any sort of older, grizzled, sort of lead with young person that they reluctantly are looking after, sort of is described as that. But yeah, going back and watching those movies, it's just
and they're just fun.
Oh man, so fun.
Like, and it kind of gets back to my question, like why we as viewers enjoy watching these things so much. And I don't really know the answer to that, but it can be quite fun when like you know that the violence is kind of like heightened and it's not.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Because when it's really like visceral and like gritty, I feel like that's sometimes can be tougher to take, but it's usually a different kind of movie in that sense, right? Where versus like you say, it's just like the real fun over the top, like just gonna murder 20 people.
Yeah.
In this room.
Well, and so another example that's kind of the complete opposite, but like similar backstory is Sicario.
Oh yeah.
Benicio del Toro's character in that movie, I can't remember the character's name.
No, I don't know.
But he's also avenging the death of his family,
right?
And he's hunting down like the drug lord that killed them, basically. And the violence in that is not fun at all. Like it's very brutal. But like those deaths really, really stick with you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Speaking of like really brutal bad guy assassins, one that I wanted to talk about was No Country for Old Men.
Oh yeah.
Anton
Chigurh, yeah.
Like talk about terrifying.
Yeah. Well, I think the the scariest death in that movie is when he has like like that cattle gun.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he just pulls that random person over, and he's just like, just stand still, and he just like puts it up to his head, just like
just totally unnecessary.
Yeah, and it's just like
without feeling, just like dumph.
This poor guy, like, and the fact that it's like so quiet,
Yeah.
and so like mundane.
That's the thing, right? It's just so like it's not over the top or stylized at all. It's just like, nope, this guy is now dead.
Yeah,
yeah, that guy terrifies me.
He sort of like rides the line between assassin and like
he's just like
hired gun,
psychopathic killer.
But yeah, he was like a hired gun henchman who just went rogue, basically.
Pretty much, right?
And so we kind of mentioned James Bond earlier, and I was thinking about what henchmen would count as assassins also.
Henchmen. I mean, you got like Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah.
He was definitely
so cocky. He only brought one bullet in every assassination. But yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
And that's Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
The great Christopher
Lee. The great Christopher Lee.
But the one I was going to mention was Odd Job.
Just throwing
that bowler hat at people.
A random task.
Yeah.
For Austin Powers.
Yeah.
He throws a shoe.
And yeah, in addition to being like quite a worthy adversary in Goldfinger, he's also quite a worthy adversary in GoldenEye, the video game.
Yes.
He played as Odd Job.
Yes, he was very difficult to get him. He was so short.
Yeah.
Always hated the people who picked Odd Job in multiplayer.
Well, yeah, it was kind of cheated, right?
It was, yeah.
You turn on License to Kill mode, and then you just go around like
just chopping people's knees.
That's the best. You have an N60.
I do. I've got a GoldenEye at home.
Okay, well, you have to invite me over to play.
We will definitely. We'll set it up. We'll set it up. Get it on the big screen.
Have you been practicing it all these years?
No, I went back and played it, and it's very difficult to play these days. With the not to go on too much of a tangent, but the like that was one of the very first person shooters, and that controller was very weirdly designed with the way the controls were.
It was invert, right?
Well, not even that, but just like how the yellow like C buttons from down, left, right. That was like how you strafe, and then so it's like totally counterintuitive to how you would normally play a shooter today.
Yeah.
With the two thumbs. So like going back and trying to do it, I found quite difficult, to be honest. But I think it's just one of those like you'd have to practice.
I remember that and Perfect Dark kind of came out around the same time.
Yeah, that was like the sequel to the Big Rare made that one too.
Yeah, great game.
Anyway,
this is First Look Final Word, the podcast where we talk about old N64 games.
Yeah, we have to do a spin-off podcast. First play, final play.
Yeah, well, for people can just listen to us play video games.
It's like, damn it, Odd Job.
Listen to you like pwn me.
Oh man, I don't play them anymore. I just like collect them and put them on my shelf.
Yeah.
Anyway,
any other ones we want?
I did want to mention shout out to Collateral.
Yeah,
that's a great movie.
That's
Tom Cruise against type playing a bad guy for a change, which he does really well. It's a great movie.
That's a movie I found pretty late. Like I think I only watched it for the first time about 2 years ago or so.
Oh, really? I haven't watched it for a long time, but I remember loving it.
I think we were just talking last week on our episode on Fury Road about how I'm not really like the biggest Michael Mann fan.
Right,
but,
yeah, fair.
That's a movie that I mostly like. Like I don't really like the third act of that.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I just think the character was so good in it.
Yeah.
He did such a great job. And the whole premise of it, like I really enjoyed. But yeah, I do know what you mean about the third act.
So like I think in every episode I mentioned my 70s movies watching.
Oh yes, I bring that in.
So
show me up now.
A couple I like to recommend. The Day of the Jackal.
Oh yeah.
Starring Edward Fox as a really like meticulous and scary contract killer. He's contracted to kill Charles de Gaulle.
Is that the one that they remade with Bruce Willis?
Yeah, they remade it.
I've seen that version. Yeah, the
Bruce Willis, and it's basically the exact same.
I remember that being not bad. Yeah, but I think I remember hearing it. Everyone was saying like, "Oh, just the original's better," but I never got watched it.
Like I I owned The Jackal on VHS. I've only in like the last year or so seen Day of the Jackal, but when I saw Day of the Jackal, I went, "Oh, okay, now I get it." Like it's really well done.
This is what they were trying to do.
Yeah. One they did a good job in remaking it. Like the '90s version is different enough, like it justifies its existence, and there's like high tech problem solving in the Bruce Willis one, which is interesting. But no, like the Day of the Jackal is just like the interesting premise of it is that they know that an assassination attempt is going to be made on this person around this time,
Right.
and they basically are just in a countrywide manhunt for this person that they know nothing about.
Right.
So definitely recommend that one.
Interesting.
Also recommend it's a French film called The Samurai.
Oh, right. French film.
Starring Alain Delon, who's quite a famous French actor from the 60s and 70s.
Pretty good French accent you got there, Trevor.
Oh, thank you. It's my grade 9 French shining through.
Hello.
And this is just like a perfect movie to show assassins as broken people, which I feel like is a theme that comes up in a lot of these movies. Like,
very true. Yeah.
What kind of person would do this for a living? Yeah. And The Samurai is very much interested in answering those kind of questions, like how does trauma experienced in childhood basically reverberate to like psychopathic behavior in adulthood?
Right.
So definitely worth checking that one out. It's a classic.
There you go. You just mentioning Bruce Willis, I kind of something popped into my head. Looper,
yeah.
That's
both he and Joseph Gordon.
Right. Yep.
That's a great movie.
That is a great movie. I've not watched that for so long. I want to go back and watch it. I feel like that got a bit of a like. Initially, everyone liked it, and then it got the traditional like everyone film Twitter decided it wasn't good.
Well, what I really love about that one is the diner scene.
Yeah.
Where they sit down and then Joseph Gordon-Levitt is trying to figure out how this time travel stuff works. And Bruce Willis is like, we can sit here all day talking about this. Like, it's just going to give us headaches. It works. Just deal with it.
I love when movies do that, when it's just like, we're just going to hand wave the time stuff.
Like, can't we just have fun?
Yeah, it's like Endgame. It's like, no, it's not like Back to the Future. It's it's basically just like, don't worry about it. It's just time travel. Like, doesn't work. So we'll have to do a time travel episode one day. What's the next time travel movie coming out?
That's an interesting question. I don't know.
It's not been a good time travel movie for a while.
Endgame would be the last good one.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. I'm sure there's been others that are good, but none that have come past my plate.
So I sent you a list of movies that I wanted to rattle off.
Okay, should we see if we've missed any out? What do we got? We didn't really talk about John Wick, which I mentioned him briefly.
Yeah, I love John Wick. I love Donnie Yen. And
yes.
The fourth one, I think, is so good.
I love Donnie Yen just in general, but treasure. Yeah, he was so good in that. Like having the best time.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, Collateral we mentioned. Oh, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, yes. Pulp Fiction 2, quite good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Jules and Vincent.
Jules and Vincent.
Are you a Jules man or a Vincent man?
Oh, Jules man, right?
Yeah.
You have to be, I think, don't you?
Well, that's because you're an optimist, right? you believe people can change.
Exactly. Plus, he's just cool.
Yeah. Vincent's pretty cool.
True.
Although, you know what? Getting blown away after stepping out of a bathroom is not...
It's not the coolest way to go.
It's so lame.
He doesn't have any, cool, verses he can spout off.
Yeah, well, he can wander out of the bathroom and not know where he's going.
He can look around like he's lost, become a meme. All right, what else have we got in here? No Country for Old Men we got. Day of the Jackal, yeah. The Killer.
Oh, yeah. Well, so 2 movies called The Killer. The recent one with the recent David Fincher one.
Right, yeah, I was going to say, which one are we talking about here?
Is quite good.
I didn't see that one.
It's good. Yeah, it's kind of got that meticulous killer thing that Leon the Professional has, but
I can see Fassbender doing that well.
Yeah. It's also kind of very low tech, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And it's very interested in examining the ritual behind and the just following through on plans.
Gotcha.
So yeah, interesting. Not a movie I love, but I think is very solid.
Yeah, good show. Gross Point Blank. That's what
Yeah, have you seen that one?
I have, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, John Cusack plays like someone in like I guess like a third life crisis.
Right, yeah.
Who's like a
Third life.
who's like a hitman who's like contemplating like, why the hell do I do this?
Yeah, which is a great concept.
Where did it all go wrong?
Like most people like get the later stages in life, like, oh, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
It's like, why am I killing people?
Well, that's basically what the premise of Barry is.
Yes, yeah, true. Well, that's say true. I didn't even know it was about.
Yeah, well, you should check it out. It's good.
Yeah, I will. All right, what else we got? Ghost Dog. That's a good shout.
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah.
Ghost Dog. I think subtitle is like the Way of the Samurai.
Yes, I think you're right.
But yeah, very good movie.
That
Quite
was
funny at times.
That was a good movie. I feel like that was a long time ago now.
Yeah, mid-90s maybe.
Yeah. And you got Looper in here. Good job. I only just thought of it. Manchurian Candidate. Great one.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
I don't know.
Show. Which version?
Well, I think the '60s one is better though. I like the new one.
Yeah, I didn't mind the remake, to be honest.
It's just such an interesting premise, like to be an assassin, but you have no idea that you're an assassin.
Right.
It's pretty cool concepts.
Yeah. Oh, Chow Yun-fat's The Killer.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. Two different movies called The Killer.
Chow Yun-fat is amazing.
Yeah, absolute legend.
Yeah. Oh man, now I want to go back and watch a lot of these movies.
Yeah, like, well, when I was kind of looking up different assassin movies, I'm like, yeah, I like a lot of these.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Hannah, which is a recent one.
No, I haven't seen that either.
Apparently that's pretty good.
Was that a Netflix movie?
I think it might have been maybe either a Netflix movie or a Prime movie.
Yeah, I think it was a streaming one.
Yeah, I missed it.
Okay, what else we got on here that we haven't talked about? Oh, Kill Bill.
Yeah.
You got
Beatrix
Kiddo in here, but you could pick a few people.
Yeah,
movie.
There's a few good ones in there. Because basically she's just like killing 6 assassins throughout the movies, right?
It's basically it, right? Yeah. I mean, her herself is basically the same.
But she would be my pick for you. I think she's a good character.
Yeah. There's so many good characters in that movie.
Well, like Daryl Hannah's character is really great.
Yeah, she's really cool too.
Having an eye patch is like that.
Yeah, I mean, it just gives you extra points just right away. You don't have to do anything. Okay, what else we got here? Prizzy's Honor. I don't know that movie.
Prizzy's Honor, yeah. I was totally going to forget about that one.
Jack Nicholson and Kathleen Turner. I don't know that movie.
So yeah, it's a John Huston movie from, I want to say like 85.
Okay.
So they play contract killers who sort of meet and fall in love and get married.
Okay.
And it's mostly a comedy,
right.
This movie. And there's one very famous scene from it where, like, their assassination job, they have like a doll, and their plan is to like throw it at a mom and get her to catch it, and then they
oh wow, that's a comedy. That's dark. A bit funnier than shooting flying babies.
No, it's a doll.
Okay,
it's a doll. Yeah, it's a doll in the reality of the movie too.
Right. Okay. Good.
But yeah, it's great. And if anything, just look up the accent that Jack Nicholson is using in that movie. It's incredible.
He does an accent. Oh wow.
Yeah. I don't want to attempt to do it, but it's not meant to be taken literally.
Gotcha. Oh, so I hadn't heard that one. I'll have to check that one out.
It's quite good.
Speaking of couples that are assassins, well, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even think of that.
No, neither did I. I just thought of it when you mentioned the two assassins together. Have you seen the remake that they've done with Danny Glover?
Donald
Glover. Yeah. Danny Glover. He's too old for that shit.
I'm getting too old.
He's way too old for that shit. Donald Glover.
No, I've heard that it's good though.
Yeah, I heard it was pretty good too. Is that a TV show or a movie?
That's a series on Prime.
Yeah, yeah.
There's too many shows out.
I know, man. There's so much to watch. I can't handle it. But no, I remember liking that movie. It was a fun movie. Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Do I got anything else on the list?
Yeah, one more that's a good shout is Munich. It's a great movie.
Yeah, well,
some of the best car chases ever.
what I really love about that one is like it shows like how morally compromising this sort of work can be, and it really makes you live in the horror of carrying out these acts.
True.
So like as we're kind of winding down, getting close to the theater, the Assassin movie really does cover a lot of the bases. Like sometimes it could be played for laughs, sometimes for thrills, and sometimes for horror.
Yeah, like bringing it back to Hitman, like I've not really got any idea what this one's going to play at. I was assuming it was going to be like comedy.
You know what? Like,
but I have no idea.
I feel like if you're casting Glen Powell, you're going to want it to be light. So that's what I'm expecting.
That's kind of what I assumed, but I'd be interested if they just didn't go that way. That would be great. But I don't think it is. All I've heard about this movie is that it's great to see in a theater. It's one of those theater movies where it's like you get a bunch of people watching it and you get really into the experience. So that's why I was like really thrilled that we could get to a theater to see it. Although I think we may be the only people who have bought tickets to
Well, I think if you're like, most of the people listening to this podcast, probably you're like, well, I'm gonna wait to see it when it's on Netflix. But to be fair, it's not like this is getting a wide release.
No,
we actually had to travel to a theater a lot further from our normal haunts.
It's very limited release.
I don't know if I've ever been to this theater, actually.
I don't think I ever have.
Looks nice. All right,
maybe we'll do a review of the theater while we do the movie.
If you're new to the podcast, Pete and I are going to go in, watch the movie, then we're going to come back, give a quick 5 to 10 minute spoiler-free review, tell you the best time to go pee, and then we'll give you plenty of warning before we go into spoiler talk.
Yeah, and then we'll do a deep dive on everything to do with the movie, third act reveals, all kinds of spoilers. So,
well, if you're going to check out now, we want to hear from you. What is your favorite Assassin movie? Let us know at firstlookfinalwordpod@gmail.com. We're on all the socials. Make sure to check back in when you do see the whole movie.
Yeah, which ones did we forget? Which ones have we missed? I'm sure there's a few.
Screaming.
You idiots. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll head in now, guys, and don't go anywhere.
All right, see you in a blank.
Welcome back, everyone. We are already on the road on the way home from seeing Hitman.
Hitman 2024.
Yes. I thought that when I saw the name Hitman, I was like, surely there's multiple movies with the name Hitman at this point. Which was what we didn't talk about on the way here.
Yeah, we didn't talk about
Agent 47 Hitman video games, which I actually haven't seen. Which I don't think is such a bad thing.
The Timothy the Elephant movie, you mean?
Yeah.
There's a new one too, right?
Right?
I think there was a newer one. I can't remember. I love the games.
Yeah, the games are amazing, but don't know how you make that into a good movie. It doesn't sound like they needed. Anyway, back to...
We're not here to talk about that.
Screw Timothy Elephant. We're talking about Glen Powell.
Yeah, so I'll go first this time.
Okay.
I love this movie. I thought it was so much fun.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's not a big shock. I thought it was really, really good. Way better than I even thought, to be honest with you. It wasn't exactly what I was expecting, but
yeah. So we talked about before how the synopsis that you read was different than the one I read.
Yes.
But I think the one I read is kind of out there because the poster basically says like phony hitman or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like the basic setup premise that is not a spoiler because it's very upfront within the first like 30 seconds of the movie that the main character Gary is playing as a hitman to entrap people.
I guess.
I guess it wouldn't be entrap. Like they're waiting for
like a sting operation.
A sting operation, yeah. And some shenanigans ensue from there.
Lots of shenanigans. Yeah. Lots of really interesting shenanigans.
So yeah, we didn't really know much about this movie going in. We thought it might be light, but it's definitely like a straight up comedy, I would say.
I think that's fair to say. Yeah, I mean, it's hilarious. A lot of it.
Yeah, and without getting into spoilers, it's definitely opened my eyes to the acting prowess of Glen Powell. Like I think he did an incredible job.
Yeah, it was interesting. We noticed in the credits that he had a writing credit and a producing credit on this, which makes a lot of sense as to why he wanted to put himself as the main character on this one, because it's definitely a vehicle to show off his skills as an actor.
Yeah, well, and basically the movie is about acting. It's about like taking on roles and
losing yourself in those roles as well, right?
Yeah, like
becoming a character.
We see Glen Powell take on about like 20 different personas
probably about that many,
based on the person he's engaging with in the movie. So I could see like as an actor / writer, like why this is kind of the project that he drifted towards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because basically the whole movie is just a big metaphor about what it's like to be an actor, and
pretty much, right?
Trying to find like who is the self in there, like like who actually are you, and what you do for a living is play pretend.
Yeah, it's very specific scenes of talking directly about like that sort of issue. It's like it's not exactly even subtle about it.
Yeah.
But no, it worked really well. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was hilarious. Pretty sexy too. I like a bit of sexy. I mean, there's very beautiful people in that movie.
Yeah, no, that's very true. It's kind of funny because at the beginning of the movie, Glen Powell is playing like a dorky sort of character, and his students are all like, and yeah, he's his main job is a college teacher, and he pretends to be a hitman on the side.
Yeah.
Is the premise of the movie. That's not spoiling. You learn that 1 minute in. And his students at the college were like, "Oh man, this guy's so boring," and it's like Glen Powell is like one of the most handsome.
I think that's what I was
so funny.
I think if you needed any reason to sort of convince you that he's a great actor, he legitimately will convince you that he is a boring, plain person.
Yeah.
for most of the beginning of this movie, and you're like, wow. It actually reminded me a little bit of like a Chris Reeve, like Superman Clark Kent.
Wow, that's a great comparison because that's completely true.
Like the way he just
and he takes the glasses on and off like during the movie too. Wow, that's awesome.
There's that amazing scene of Chris Reeves when he takes off the glasses and just like changes his posture and becomes Superman, like just by doing the smallest thing. It's just like it's the most amazing thing, and like he does something akin to that in this movie, where it's like just a slight change of posture and like not doing much. It's like it's an entirely different person. Like that's good acting.
Yeah, well, now that you're saying that, I would not be surprised to like read somewhere that
I didn't even put that together, even though I was just saying it, but I could see him in Superman.
Oh, probably too late for that now.
It's too late for that now, but they'll reboot it again in 5 years.
Yeah. Well, he's already like late 30s, right?
Give it old to Superman. That's fine.
Yeah, I guess so. You want to get them all there a little bit younger, so you get some mileage on there. How old was Cavill when he first got? He's probably like 30.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that ship's probably sailed. What was it you were gonna say?
I was
going that route.
I was just gonna say, like, I thought that Superman comparison was quite apt, and I would not be surprised if, like, that is a performance that Powell studied for this role.
Yeah, I didn't even put it together with the glasses, but yeah, it's really the one thing he did really well was just changing her hairstyle.
Yeah,
I was watching the movie thinking, if I could just change my hair, then not that I have any, but if I could just change my hair and like not wear glasses, then I could look like Glen Powell too. I could be a cool dude.
Yeah,
need to go to the gym. So I always find interested in these movies when they're showing these guys and like what their daily life is, and it's like, I'm calling BS on that because he's spending a lot of time in the gym. I've seen him with his shirt off. Like, give me a break.
Yeah, the beginning of the movie is kind of showing him go through like an ordinary routine. Yeah. He's like hanging out with his cats and stuff. At no point is he going to the gym and pumping iron.
Eating a ton of protein.
But then, like, there's quite a few sex scenes in this, and like he's obviously going to the gym for like 3 hours a day.
Exactly.
That's what's always funny about seeing like Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, and that like he's just like showing up like, hey, I'm just an average Joe. I'm just trying to find a toy for my kid. Also, like, clearly I've spent 8 hours at the gym every day for the past 6 months.
Exactly. I know what you mean. There's those roles where he played the regular dad or whatever, and it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm just a regular American average Joe living in suburbia.
Yeah, that never really worked.
I cannot remember the name of that actress, but she plays Bix on Andor.
Yes, we should probably have looked that up.
And-
what her name is. She was good. She was good too.
Yeah, honestly, between this and Andor, I'm like thinking she is a great actress. Man. It's like she is very good. Like definitely as like the maybe not co-lead, but like second lead of the movie. Certainly holds her own.
Yeah, definitely.
And like she kind of goes through the same like acting and pretending at certain points too. So like
true. Yeah.
So there's a lot of like metatextual stuff about relationships in there too, about like who you are in a relationship, who you kind of become as a result of that relationship.
That's very true. How you change, right?
Yeah.
How your personality changes based off of who you're with, the relationships you're in.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, because that's kind of a thing with Glen Powell. Glen Powell's character Gary talks about that when he's going out and pretending to be a hitman. He's tailoring himself to the person that particular client is looking to be, right?
Yep.
And so like kind of do that for relationships too, right? Like
a lot of it is like could equate it to like dating, right? Like it's like going on dates and pretending to be someone you're not.
Yeah. Well, I know like I've been pretending to be someone like this entire time for my relationship with my wife, and I've sort of just had to become the person that she's expected to be at this point.
And so she still thinks you're a hitman then.
No, but the person that she like she met is so boring, and I'm stuck with this guy forever.
I was gonna say.
This guy just like sitting at home and watching movies all the time. It's so lame.
You gotta take your glasses off and push your hair behind your ears. And you'll be fine. You'll have a six pack.
It just appears.
Yeah, that's how you do it. You just gotta pretend like you have a six pack, and then take your shirt off, and you're good. All right, we're gonna get spoilers.
Yeah, so
before wrap it up before
we drop off into spoilers, want to shout out my P report.
Oh yes,
I went around the 51-minute mark. I think that's pretty good. Look for the first instance of pillow talk.
Yes, I was going to say that pillow talk was you picked a good spot there. You didn't really miss much of anything. Yeah.
Well, there was a bit of conversation there, but I gathered what most of it was. So
yeah.
And besides that, like there's some good opportunities to go. Like there's a lot of there's a lot of characters that he plays in that, but if you miss one or two of those, you just got to go to the bathroom. That's okay.
Yeah. I don't think there's much you could miss that would be that important that you would you'd be in trouble with the movie, but unless you miss one of the scenes towards the end. But yeah, if you go around an hour in, you'll be fine.
So for the folks who are just about to drop off, what would you say would your recommendation be?
I would say hightail it to your Netflix device of choice.
Yeah, man, it's a good movie. And I feel like this has got mass appeal, crowd.
Oh yeah, like honestly, I was like, my wife would love that movie. I know, I think we've talked about that before. I don't know what kind of barometer that is, but I feel like it's got, like you say, it's got a broad appeal. I think they're so likable. The two main leads. I think.
We're watching this about a week before this hits Netflix, and I guarantee this is going to be a big streaming movie.
Yeah, sadly not a big theatrical movie. We were, full disclosure, we were the only ones in that screening. Just Trevor and I, we had our own screening just for ourselves.
Yeah,
we don't have that clout through the podcast. We didn't rent the whole theater out.
Yeah, we think by near the end of the movie, the projectionist turned the lights on.
Yeah, in the projection booth.
We think that they thought it was empty and they were gonna turn it off early.
They were looking to knock off for the night for sure.
But you were just saying how you saw a bit of a review that said how this is a great movie to see with the crowd.
Yeah, I know. It's like, which it would be. It's like one of those movies that would get a crowd going.
All right, well,
just before though, the one thing we didn't really touch on, I don't think we talked about it on the way here, is that it was based off of a true story.
Yeah, that's
somewhat. Like he was playing
some invented part.
Yeah, the character he was playing is a real dude who did that job, and then they kind of took it to new places that aren't necessarily true. But no, interesting that was actually a real guy.
Yeah. So I feel like this is as close to a guarantee you will like this movie. Like,
I can't imagine someone not liking it. I mean, I don't.
Maybe someone with a really big stick up there.
I mean, maybe. Well, there's enough in there. He's just a bit of a charm factor, isn't he? Especially when he's playing like the main character that he plays.
Yeah,
it's just like, I think the whole point is like, how can you not like this guy?
Yeah. When we saw the trailer for Twisters again right before this movie too, so it's the year of Glen Powell, I guess.
Doing it. I'm on board now. I'm on the Glen Powell train.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. After a performance like this, like, I don't even know, like, if could this be something that he gets a nomination? Like there was some good, like, if the Academy is feeling in like a cool mood this year, like, that would be a cool nomination.
It would be an interesting one.
Like,
he's too pretty though.
Well, you don't see comedic roles get nominated that often.
Yes, that's very true.
But I feel like I don't know, there's just something to this performance that I really, really like, and I can see people responding to.
Yeah, and a really novel way of being able to showcase like multiple different acted characters in one movie.
Yeah. Oh, it's like an acting showcase, basically.
Exactly.
Like, it's like an actor, like, assembled a film reel, or it's like, no, I'm gonna do this character.
It's like, I can only have one movie, so I need to showcase all my different range.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, at one point, I think he's playing Tilda Swinton. I thought that was pretty incredible.
We can get into that,
yeah. All right, well, we are just about to head into spoiler territory here. If spoilers worry you, maybe drop off, but first, drop us a line at firstlookfinalwordpod@gmail.com. Let us know what your favorite assassin movie is, or who your favorite assassin is. Fictional. Don't tell us who your real favorite is.
Yeah, and we'll throw a poll up on Spotify too. That seemed to get some interest last time, so look out for it there as well. And we'll put some questions up there.
All right, and as soon as you watch the rest of that movie, check back in with us to hear our
go back, finish the podcast, see if you agree with, or when we dig into the minutia here.
All right, for those who've seen the movie or are not bothered by spoilers, Pete, what do you want to talk about first?
All right, spoilers. Well, in terms of spoilers on this one, I think the main stuff we'll probably talk about is the third act developments that happen.
Yeah,
because that's really the only thing that spoil it. And that's where I'm like, the only thing I think that I wasn't sure if I was on board with the movie was, I thought there was going to be a big tonal shift when there was an actual murder, and they kind of did sort of make it serious, but because it was so comedic, the movie, because it was such a comedic movie, I kind of felt that clashed a little bit, especially the one at the end when they killed that guy, which was extremely dark. He's just very suffocated in the living room, and they're like getting it on.
But then it's just Glen Powell smile.
I know, right? And so I was like, on one hand, I was like, this is hilarious. But on the second hand, I was like, I don't know how I feel about them just like cold-bloodedly killing this guy who had not really done anything wrong. He didn't deserve it.
Well, but
he was a douchebag. But I mean, you can't just suffocate douchebags. That's not.
Before we even get to that part, though, there's that one crucial scene, kind of at the beginning of that third act, where he knows that her ex-husband is dead.
Right.
And he shows up at her place.
Yes.
And then she's not sure how to play it. Like, she's clearly rattled.
Yeah.
He's not sure how she's going to play it. He doesn't know if she did it. He suspects. And then we as an audience are not sure what kind of movie we're going to be settling in for.
Yes.
Is he going to be helping the investigation now, and he's trying to, determine, did she do it? Did she not do it?
Mm-hmm.
Then she gives him like a bit of a sob story about, like, she doesn't know how to act. Like, should she be grieving? And then, like, while they're embracing, she just says, I killed him.
Yeah. And he freaks out.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
But like, I think that was just a really clever bit of writing on the movie's part.
Yeah, that was a very good scene.
At that point, it just decides, like, you know what? We're going to be this kind of movie.
Yeah.
And then we're going to we're going to force him to decide what role he wants to play going forward. Is he playing the role of the cop, or is he playing the role of the boyfriend?
Yeah. No, I thought it was a really good job.
And she was incredible in that scene, like
really good.
And I was talking a bit before about like how she also kind of went through an acting showcase, and it's all kind of in that scene. Like you see the machinations going on in her head about how she's playing this at different times. Like I
all in the one scene, right? Yeah, that was a really great scene.
And then, so from that point, the movie just decides that, okay, we're just going to double down. It's a farce.
Yeah, it's just gonzo at that point.
Yeah. It's an episode of Frasier.
Yeah.
And so, so getting to that end scene, and then he's again kind of faced with the decision of how they're going to play it when she drugs his beer.
Right?
Yeah, you clocked that as poison, like, right?
Yeah, I guess as soon as he was like, it's hot, I was like, oh, she's put something in that drink. Because they made a point of like, oh, you got the beers last time, I'll get them this time. I was like, oh, she got the beers last time. She put something in it.
Yeah, he did say that, right? So she must have already had poisoned it.
Which, I mean, like drink for that. Come on, like, you know, if you're going there because you know she's murdered a guy and you're going to accuse her, maybe think twice about accepting drinks from her.
Yeah, but this is a cop who also got suspended for beating the shit out of a bunch of teenagers.
I guess, but he's also the only one that's figured out like what's going on out of all of them.
I guess that's the epitome of like high intelligence, low wisdom.
I guess so. I guess he just thought he was untouchable at that point.
Well, I thought that actor was great.
Yeah, he was actually very good. They were all good, actually. Everyone in this did well. I liked what's her name from Community showed up.
Yeah, she's got like one name, right?
Yeah, Donna or something.
Well, it's Donna from Community. I'm trying to think of what her name is.
I feel like it was Donna in this as well. I have no idea.
No, it was
no, it wasn't.
Because it was like a male name. She was by, right?
I don't know. I can't even remember what her name was.
Like Chance or something like that.
Oh yeah, I think you might be right.
But no, I thought the whole cast was pretty good.
I also thought that I felt like it was dangerous for him to be doing that. Like, I know it was kind of based off real life, but it seemed like they were doing everything in the same sort of small area, and like all the people that he had.
And he keeps going to the trial.
And he's there. They know who he is. They know his name. Like, I would be worried if I was him, because some of them didn't even get sent down for it. So,
well, when he first met Madison at the bar, I was thinking, like, is she actually a hitman?
Right.
And like, has one of the people he set up hired her to like?
No, I just did
to lure him so that she can murder him. Like, so that was what my mind was at during that first meeting. I don't know if you had thought.
No, I hadn't thought that. No, although there was like watching the movie, I did keep expecting like a rug pull, where like something with someone like you say, she was going to be revealed that she was like been acting the whole time or something like that. I wouldn't have been surprised if that had happened.
Yeah,
not that I was disappointed that it didn't really. I mean, I liked the way it went.
But I guess she was sort of acting a little bit, like, because like, she was acting as if she was a empathetic person when really she's a pretty great. Or okay, so that's an interesting question.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the question.
Was she an empathetic person, but then she became a little more sociopathic because she thought she was dating a hitman,
right?
And then he became more sociopathic because he was pretending to be that person, but also he was with her.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they end up in this very messy codependent relationship.
Yeah,
where
that's the thing. Yeah,
they can do terrible things together.
Because they don't make it like super clear, right? Because there's the possibility that from the start she just was trying to murder him for the money, and she was just a cold-hearted psychopath. But they don't play it that way. They play it like you say that no, like it was nothing to do with that.
Well, that's a good point too, because they said the like life insurance she had bought before that whole thing. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, they it's a little bit ambiguous, I guess, at some points, but I don't know. I like to think she was just nice, and he corrupted her. They corrupted each other, because that makes more sense thematically. I think with what
I think like they sort of just, because they were each playing certain roles, that they ended up just believing those roles, and they were trying to be the person that the other person thought that they wanted them to be, right? And they just ended up becoming those people.
Excellent. Do you think they kind of glossed over the whole like she murdered her husband part of it? Like they never really explained how that happened or what she did or how she got away with it.
So
just like fully just ran up and shot him in the alleyway. Like how did you get away with that?
Well, so she said that he was either asleep or passed out,
right?
Which makes me think she snuck into their old home and just shot him while he was sleeping, and then moved him.
Oh, because that's what he said.
Yeah,
that's what he said the first time he told.
Because they were in the bath together.
Yes, because that's exactly what he said. Shoot him in the heart and then move him, right?
So that
interesting.
That reminded me of a specific scene from Dexter. I don't know if you ever watched that show.
I love Dexter.
So I think it's season 3 that has Jimmy Schmitz.
Yes.
And in that season, he knows like that Dexter is a serial killer,
right?
And he asks like, "How do you get away with it?" And then Dexter lies and says the best way to do it is to put them in a recently dug grave and put a little bit of dirt over them.
Yeah.
And then later in the season, spoiler for season 3 of Dexter.
Did say spoilers.
Then that's how he commits the murder, even though that's not like he commits the murder and hides the body based off of like bad information that he passed him at one point.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't tell him that I cut them up into 100 pieces and then dumped them off of the side of my boat.
How hilarious was that bit when they're talking about him throwing the fingers out the window? It's like, who comes up with that?
That was incredible.
It'd be too mild and throw it out the window.
Do you think he's too convincing in that first scene?
That was a little bit like he goes from being like a nervous sort of geeky dude to like just boom instantly.
Yeah.
Charming like hitman dude.
Yeah, but after that first scene when they're like, where did that come from? Like that was so specific.
Yeah.
I was thinking like maybe this guy is like in witness protection and he actually used to be a hitman or something like it's a...
That was the one I was saying earlier about I was expecting a rug pull. That was one that I was expecting where like the Glen persona was actually him pretending.
Yeah.
Like he's not really like that at all.
And that just reminded me of another assassin movie, which is A History of Violence, which is that the twist of that movie is that he used to be like a gangster who killed people, right?
Right, yeah. No, I was trying to remember that one actually when we're coming up. So I'm glad you brought that one.
And then I was talking about what was the redheaded officer's name?
Oh no, I have no idea. I couldn't even remember.
I just think
guy's name.
That actor played it so well. It's like you see him figuring things out, but also trying to not seem like he's figuring things out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's like he's like one of the best detectives, and he's just playing it stupid.
Yeah.
No, he did a good job.
No, like it's really like if you love acting, like this is a great movie where you can kind of see people's process.
Very true. Well, like very, very stupid. Very stupid of him at the end to go back to her apartment, though. Look, I remember we both looked at each other. I was like, "Why would you do that?"
Yeah, it's a bit of like it's obviously like it's a Hollywood trope.
Yeah, that's because it made for a good scene.
But yeah, I figure a guy that smart would really say like, and by the way, if you're thinking of killing me, I've taken lots of photos of you guys, put it in my safety deposit box. They will open it up if I die.
Exactly. Yeah.
I say, if I was murdered, please look at these two people who have been lying to you.
Yeah. They all played that terribly, really.
Yeah. But you were, so to go back to that end scene, so you were saying that, like maybe that ending didn't entirely work for you?
Well, I'll tell you what it is. It was because like, obviously by the time you get to that point in the movie, like I'm invested in these two, in this couple. I want a happy ending for them.
You're a romantic.
Yeah, and I am a romantic, and they get that happy ending, and they lived a happy life with the picket fence and the kids. But at the same time, I was like, I don't think I'm comfortable with them getting away with murdering two innocent people. Like they weren't. It's not like they killed horrible gangsters. It was just like her ex-husband who, was a dick, but and the cop was just basically doing his job. I mean, he was a bit of a dirty cop. He tried to extort him, I guess, but I just feel like that kind of rubbed me a bit wrong way. I was kind of half expecting him to get comeuppance at the end, and I think I would have been okay with a bit of comeuppance. where they're like
But I think,
like a Bonnie and Clyde type thing,
Yeah.
where they like went down like get arrested at the end. But then when I'm like, oh, they're a happy family with kids, I was like, that's fucked up a bit.
I think, but I honestly, I think that exact queasy feeling is what you're supposed to be feeling. Like,
especially when that lad, she's like, oh, I could have strangled her to death, and
Oh,
that
man, it was so
PTA me, and
it's
it's
so
like, oh
funny.
my god, her face is just like, oh yeah, I guess so.
like it's just turning into like a complete satire. But
Yeah, it basically is. Yeah,
but that was such an incredible moment when, you know, the police officer is just like passed out on the floor. You don't know if he's actually going to overdose or not, or whether he's going to wake up. And then Powell stands up, and like Gary / Ron, you think like, okay, he's got a decision to make. Is he just at this point going to leave and call the cops?
right.
He goes and gets a garbage bag and puts it right over, and he says, I'm in this.
Yeah,
I'm in this to the
it's
end.
like it was like a romantic gesture.
It was the most romantic gesture.
Like, let's just kill this guy for you, for us.
But up to that point, we had seen little bits of Ron slipping into his personality, right? And
yeah, I think he did an incredible job of like slowly doing that.
Yeah,
like the disappearance of Glenn over time, like just by little bits and bits, until by the end it's just like he's gone completely, basically.
Like his ex-wife character towards the beginning of the movie kind of like plants that seed in our head for what the thesis of the movie is going to be.
Yeah, she lays it all out.
She's like, yeah, there's actually been research on if you start pretending to be someone else, then eventually you'll just become them.
Yep.
Like, oh, very interesting. Like,
you should try doing that.
That's not going to come up.
You should do that.
And so we start seeing like the big turn. And I guess because it's been a few months at this point where he's being Ron every day. He's just walking into her house, and then basically on his off time when he's not at work, he's being Ron. And then they go to the club, and then they leave. And by the way, she totally meant for him to run into her.
Yeah, well, he calls her out on that actually at one point, doesn't he? He's like, oh, it's a coincidence.
Yeah. And then he pulls the gun on the guy, and he himself is surprised that he pulled the gun on him. He's like, what the fuck did I? I guess this is what Ron would do.
I'm not really ready for this. Where this is going?
Yeah, and she is like kind of surprised herself to see like how much she loves the fact that he pulled a gun on.
Yeah, it has a lot of interesting things to say about what drives people and how they react to things. Like for being like a really funny movie, like romantic comedy, basically, it's like it had a lot of interesting things to say.
It's got a lot, certainly a lot to say about psychology.
Yeah. And like some really deep scenes where he's talking about that stuff to his class, and it's like it's really getting into the meat of some stuff.
Yeah. Well, his dogs are named Id and Ego, right? And
his cats.
Oh, he's cats. Yeah, that's right. Sorry. And he gives like a little speech to his students during the movie explaining what Id and Ego is. And I guess, like so Ron would be the id, and
it's really like,
and Gary would be the ego,
really
right?
like
and he becomes the super ego by the end of the movie.
It was really like a really clever framing device to sort of give you the exposition about like, this is what's going on for all you people that don't get it.
Yeah. One, like the nice detail of like the street names and stuff.
Yes,
kind of showed like where his state of mind is.
Yeah, a lot of interesting choices that he did. Yeah, he really did a really good job.
Yeah. So like, playing with like very interesting psychological themes. Like, I wouldn't say like it's like they're not hard themes to pick up.
No,
right?
It doesn't go like super crazy deep into psychology, but it's just like very plainly like this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Like we're not leaving it up to interpretation here. This is what we're talking about. Which I kind of appreciate.
He gives that big speech before the final exam.
Yeah.
How like, his perspectives change. Like truth kind of shifts based off of the person, and morality can be ever shifting.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's way too much of an information dump to leave people right before they write a final exam. Like,
because when he finished all that, he's like, okay, you can do your exam. And I was like, holy fuck, I thought that was like the end of. That's like a see you later, goodbye. Not okay, now we can start.
If one of my professors in university gave a big speech like that right before the exam, I'd be like, I don't know what to do with myself now. Like I've been cramming for the past 24 hours, and then you just like dump this like inspirational speech on me right before.
Yeah, that's too much, bro.
Yeah.
Save that till after.
No, seriously. Yeah. Save it for the next day.
Yeah. Save it for graduation.
And so, yeah, by the end, they get married and
Couple of
got
kids.
2 kids, the picket white fence.
Yep.
So I don't know if you've seen the Robert Altman movie, The Player, from I think like 92.
No, I don't think so.
But it left me with a very similar feeling. Like he, and like I kind of spoiled the movie a little bit, and that's okay.
Go for it.
It's 30 years old at this point.
Yeah, statute of limitations is passed on.
He commits a murder during the movie.
Right.
He's feeling very guilty about it. He actually starts dating the wife of the person that he murdered.
Oh, that's creepy.
And he confesses that murder to her during the movie.
Even creepier.
And then by the end, he kind of just like, he gets over it and then he enjoys enormous success. And the movie ends on kind of like a happy note for him.
Right.
Like he ended up winning, even though he was like morally reprehensible.
Yeah.
And it's a happy ending the same way that this movie's a happy ending.
Yeah, I think to your point, it was
like,
purposely done that way, right? But yeah, I just felt like it gave me the ick a bit. I was like, no, I don't think you deserve it, even though I want you to have it. So I'm so conflicted.
But it's kind of interesting because like that happy ending exists in the minds of those characters, and we're watching them have their happy ending because they morally can live with what they've done. But we as the viewer are seeing this happy ending and saying like, wait, no. You guys killed 2 people. You shouldn't be doing this.
That's not fair.
Yeah. But that's kind of why I love it.
Yeah.
So I love that it makes me queasy.
Yeah, like when I said that I didn't know how I feel about it, I didn't. It's not like I didn't like it. I mean, I know that there was a very, very specific choice, the thing they were doing, and I loved the movie, and then it just, that was the only thing that made me feel a bit, I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Made me feel uneasy.
Well, and I guess because like they're just 2 incredibly charismatic people, and rom-coms have kind of trained us into thinking like, I want to like these people, like I'm invested in their lives.
They should be idyllic. They shouldn't be complicated. Yeah. Everybody who needs to come up and should have it, and everybody who deserves to win should win.
Yeah.
But no, that's boring.
Yeah. No, so like it's a very clever bit of writing, I would say.
It's very clever, actually. Yes, I think, like I say, I was way more impressed with that than I was really expecting to be. It blew my expectations. Yeah,
and like, did we mention that there was just a complete empty theater too? Like,
yeah, we talked about that.
It's kind of like basically just watching in your living room, right? Like the movie isn't like very cinematic in that like you have to watch this in the theater. Like
no, I think like
it's gonna play well at home
with a crowd. I think it would have been good, but no, it's not like those big action scenes that you need the big screen for or anything. Yeah, it's a perfectly fine Netflix movie.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna want to watch this again with my wife.
Yeah, I think I will
keeping
too.
one eye on her reaction the whole time.
Yeah,
because she will definitely like. Not like that end scene there with the guy just like slowly suffocating in that garbage bag, and then they're just making out.
Yeah, like they do basically a repeat of like the cutesy, like
the cutesy oral sex scene.
Yeah, like the little like thing that they've been riffing on the like multiple times in the movie. It's like, oh, we'll do our cute little thing.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, there's someone dying right there.
Yeah,
that's what I think. That's what it was. Like that's really like. He really went from 0 to 100 from like, oh, I've never killed anyone, this is too much for me, to like the next scene is like, let's just like bone while this guy suffocates. That's cool. Like, wow, that's a bit of a difference.
Well, it's just true love. Like,
I guess so. If you love someone,
it's just like, well, if I'm going to be with her, and probably the safest way for me to not be murdered by her is for her to see me murder someone else.
True.
I don't want to be a loose end.
I think that's what it was, though. I think I could understand that and the fact that he did it, but the fact that like it was so nonchalant and so like almost getting off on it, I was like, oh, okay, so we're there now, are we? Like it's not like it seemed like it wasn't just it's necessary that we do this. It was almost like, yeah, we're into this now. We're just gonna stop murdering everyone.
That's true. So yeah, at that point you could see like, oh, are they developing a taste for this?
But like they seem like they're getting off on this stuff.
The epilogue would say like, no, like they reeled it back in, found a healthy place to be with it, but yeah, like it's almost sort of like an aphrodisiac, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was thinking, I was like, that's getting pretty creepy now.
And they talked about that a bit when they first got together, and that he found it exciting because he's pretending to be this guy.
Yep.
And like he's pretending to be a killer, and like he knows that she thinks that he's a killer, and that's a turn on for her.
Right.
And because he knows that that's a turn on for her, that's also a turn on for him. And so they're in this weird like back and forth cycle between the two of them. Like they're both feeding off of what the other person is perceiving. And it's just like a dangerous cycle of violence and sex.
Right? But yeah, and that's how it ends up. No, a really good movie. Like you said, I really do want to watch it again, actually.
So what did you say on our scale of 6.5 stars?
Right.
Where would this land for you?
I'm gonna give it a 6.
You know what? That's exactly what I was thinking.
I think it's a good solid 6.
6 out of 6.5. Like one of the most solid comedies I've seen in a long time.
Very true, actually. Good point.
Like the last time I think I was like this kind of into a comedy would be Game Night.
Yes, that was an amazing movie.
Like I kind of put
best ever.
I don't know how
this
would be profitable for Frito-Lay.
That one was underappreciated as well, I think. I agree with you. That was the last big studio like comedy that really worked, I think.
Yeah, so like I kind of feel about this one like it's the same sort of high that from that one.
Yes, I agree. Even though there's murder in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and like it would have been interesting to see this with a big crowd of people. So I don't know, like if for some reason you haven't seen the movie yet and you're still listening now, like try to watch it with as many people as you can.
Yeah, I would love to, because that's the one thing I miss about that theater, that like seeing a comedy in a theater and like the energy of everybody like laughing at the same points. And
well, like when we all went to go see Police Story.
Yes, that like made such a huge difference. Like, check that episode out, by the way. Yeah,
we did an episode on Police Story, Jackie Chan's. Oh, I'm at 10% battery. We're gonna make it though.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, when we saw Police Story, which is like half action movie, half comedy, like there were some huge laughs, and like it was
makes such a huge difference. Right?
It was so much fun watching that with a big group, and like you don't get that experience that much anymore.
No, like hardly ever. Like when do you go to the theater to see a comedy anymore?
Yeah,
unless it's like a kids movie, but kids just laugh at anything.
Because people now like just expect to kind of watch a comedy at home on Netflix, and like I can kind of see it. Like this sort of does feel like a movie to watch at home. Like
it does.
So like
that's fair.
It's not like a movie of spectacle that you can really kind of appreciate it with seeing in a cinema. Like
yeah, I agree with that.
Especially because the audience wasn't there. Like maybe we would have even liked it more. Like we're already pretty high on this movie.
True enough. Yeah, good point.
And it's kind of interesting because Netflix just continues to make movies that they don't have an interest in releasing wide.
Oh, yeah.
Like they'll make a big movie like this and they'll put it in 100 theaters or something like that for a few days, and that's about it.
I mean, I guess that's what they're coming from, right? Like,
well, I think they
are the streaming guys, so
they really just put it into theaters to make a filmmaker like Linklater happy and to qualify for awards if they're thinking about awards.
That's basically what it is, right?
Like I could definitely see this movie making you play for screenplay and for 2 acting categories. Like I would put both of the actors like on my short list for
very true
performance of the year. Like
yeah, I'd be surprised if we get that if they do, if we get to that point, just because I feel like it'll be one that's forgotten, especially because it didn't have a wide release.
Yeah, well, it's coming in a very tough month for movies. Like
oh yeah,
Fall Guy, If, and Furiosa. Check out our episode on Furiosa. All those movies struggled a lot.
Yeah, very, very much so.
Lots of money lost in the month of May 2024.
Yes, theater companies are going to be struggling this quarter, I would imagine.
Yeah. And so they just can't wait to get to Deadpool.
Yeah, it's going to be the savior.
It's going to be the savior.
Yeah.
Well, we saw the trailer for Deadpool again and get pretty excited for that one.
Yes, that'll definitely top of my list.
Those movies are basically comedies too, right? So that'll be great to watch.
Bit of action comedy.
And I guarantee there'll be more than us in the theater to go see that opening night.
Yeah, pretty much, right? It's already sold out.
All right, well, I think got a pretty big recommendation from Pete and I on this one.
Yes, definitely see this one, guys.
If you have seen this one, let us know what you think at firstlookfinalwordpod@gmail.com. Hit us up on all of our socials. Give us 5 stars on your
review us
of choice. I think we settled with the compromise. You can give us 5 stars, but then say any nasty stuff you want to say in the review.
Yeah.
Really, it's the 5 stars we're after. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys. What's your favorite assassin in movies?
Or hitman, but same thing.
About the same thing. Is Oddjob an assassin or is he a henchman? I want to hear your thoughts on this one.
Can you be both? You can be more than one thing.
I think he can be.
Oddjob can be whatever he wants.
If this movie taught me anything, is that I can be whatever I want to be.
Just by changing your hair or throwing a hat.
And thank you all for being dedicated listeners.
Yes.
That's the person you've decided to be.
Yeah, thanks for staying with us. It's really appreciated. All right, guys. I guess that's it. That's the final word. Catch you next time.
Bye.